new. This is the list of the areas that we serve, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that later in the meeting. So first off, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. We have a flag over here, and we have a flag on the screen. Make your choice. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic indivisible with liberty and justice for all. For all. Okay, so I hope you like the new round tables that came out of the discussion that we had last November. Was it November? Yes, it was November. So please be sure and introduce yourself to the people at your table. And if you're new to Canyon Dems, just raise your hand if you've never been here before. Raise your hand. Okay, so people at your table, let's introduce yourself. I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes. Tell people who you are, say hello, and then we'll go on with the meeting. While you're chatting, if you haven't bought your opportunity drawing tickets, please go see the lady in green, Melora, and buy your opportunity tickets. We'll have a drawing later under the report from fundraising. One more minute. There are agendas on your table, and there's some extra agendas on the table in the back. You're going to want to grab that agenda because there's some very interesting information in the back of it. So if you don't, please look for the agenda on your table, and if you didn't find one, go to the table in the back and get one. Okay, folks, I'm going to call us back to order. Thank you. I want to keep us going because our speaker just came, and I have to get through this part of the agenda before we get to him. So please find a seat. Barbara, can you help our speaker find a seat? Where's Barbara? Oh, okay. Okay. So this month is a special month, of course. It's Black History Month, and there's some interesting information up there about it. It's something we do every year since 1976. And I found this picture on one of the websites that talked about Black History Month, and I found the pictures fascinating. Starting on your right, on your left, is the Civil Rights March, and then moving across is Malcolm X, Angela Davis, Martin Luther King, Susie Taylor, the first Black Army nurse, and Nanny Burroughs, an educator who actually started a school, and James Brown and Shirley Chisholm. So, and of course, somebody's going to come up to me at the meeting at the end and say, well, why did you leave this person off? I didn't do it, it was the website, okay? Okay, so this is our agenda. You're all, those of you who've been here before are familiar with it. It's pretty standard operating procedures. The one thing that we do that's a little different is the items that have the boxes with the check mark are what we consider the consent list. And we will vote on all of them at one time, unless somebody in the audience wants us to take one off of that consent list and talk about it. Okay, so I'm giving you an opportunity if you want to pull something from that consent list. I don't hear anything.
Are we gonna get a treasurer's report?
Oh, you are certainly going to get a treasurer's. You are going to get more than a treasurer's report tonight. Okay, this is the treasurer's report. Pardon? And just so you know, this is for this month. We started out the month with over $7,000 and we ended up with over 10. I don't think there's anything notable on here, but our treasurer, Ken, where's Ken? Raise your hand. Can answer any questions you have. And I'm going to do a big report in just a few minutes on the last 4 years, comparing them.
Please, I must have missed it, but the balance really, 1/31/2023 on the bottom left. It's not.
Oh, I didn't change the date.
I must have missed it.
That's me. You know, I pull up an old one and copy it. So the balance is supposed to be end of January, 1/31/23. Well, now the numbers are new, the date's wrong. Okay, I don't claim perfection. Okay, but at least I get it up here once. Okay, so now we're going to hold a vote on the items that are checked off. So if you are a paid up member, you get to vote. Some of you are not yet paid up members, but it's sort of the honor system. So I'd like to hear a motion to accept the consent items. So moved by Deborah Sternick, and a second by Heather. Okay, all in favor of accepting the agenda? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Boy, we got through that quick. Okay. So I promised you information about the what's been going on with our budget. Some of this is really good news and some of it's concerning. So we want to talk about it. I have to turn this darn thing on first. Point. Got too many pieces of equipment here. Okay. All right. So the interesting thing here is what's happened with our membership. We kind of went down in 2021, and then we bounced back in 2022. And we're doing very well with sustaining donors. These are people who pay the regular dues and then either monthly or one time kick in more money. Okay, so we really couldn't function without those folks. And then the other piece of money that we get is from fundraising. And the part here that I want to point out to you, and this is the summary column over here. These are all the ways we've collected money over these last 4 years. And Ken does a great job of keeping this spreadsheet up. What's interesting is looking at what has happened, okay, is that fundraising income has gone down. And at the same time, our membership and sustaining has gone up. But if we're going to be ready for 2024, we've got to turn this around, okay? We really do have to make this not look like this at the end of the year, okay? Right. That's the message of the night. Okay. And of course, when you raise money, you have to spend money to raise the money. You can see the biggest, most expensive fundraiser we have is the holiday party. And we had in 2019, we had a very successful one because we had a lot of people at it. But that's gone down in the expenses have gone down mainly because we had fewer people, okay? But also we're having other problems because we're experiencing everything that the whole economy is experiencing because of inflation. Our costs are going up. Okay, so this is the one that really made me go, ouch, you know. The blue line is our income. The orange line is our expenses, and the profit is how much we made, how much we cleared, okay? And right now, in the last year, our expenses exceeded our profit, and we don't want that to happen again. So we got to work on this, and it's a chore for the fundraising committee and for the rest of us because we can all impact this, okay? Fundraising is going to be watching to make sure that the cost of putting on an event is generating a high income, okay? And we all have to buy the tickets because if we don't, we're going to have a problem. Yes, Patty. No. No, this is the total for the whole club, okay, for everything. It is fundraising. Yes, it is. It is fundraising money. No. What this is showing is that our profit, the difference between the income and the cost has changed over time, and we have to change it back, okay? So that means we have to have more high yield events. For example, you'll see, let me go back. If you look at the ice cream social, okay? The ice cream social did very well in terms of low cost, high income, okay? So and that was planned by the fundraising team. That's great, okay? So it's just, there's a whole group of reasons why this becomes very important. Okay, so the other thing that happened is we had in 2000 the fundraising booth, and sales. We sold a lot of masks at the beginning of the pandemic, and we made a lot of money on it. Okay, that's because we were getting donated materials. Okay, so
is that 2020, not 2000?
Yeah.
yes, it should be 2020. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, so that's another example of something that went really well. And then we do voter outreach and support candidates. So you can see the summary over here of what you can compare the years. So most of that money that's spent, hold on here. I lost my pointer. Most of what we spent went to candidates here in the middle of the screen. Okay. So you can see what we gave in 2020, and you can see what we gave in 2022, because you give more in the even years than you do in the odd years, because that's when most of the elections are. okay? But we need to raise our income so that we can keep up with where we were in 2020. We did less the last time around, okay? And so this shows our income, and the way we figure this is we look at what we saved from the last year, our income for that year, and then the total. So you can see that we're just about, our total income was just about where we were on 2020. But this last time, this last election cycle, we had more candidates because we had all of these local candidates, which is the goal of the club was to find and support local candidates, but that meant we had to spend more money. Okay, so this shows total income and expenses. Okay, and the good news is that we didn't spend more than we brought in. The one piece of bad news built into this is that last fall, I got worried about our income and whether we would cover our expenses. And we started asking people to pay their 2023 dues in 2022. So we spent 2023 money in 22, okay? Because we wanted to give money to our candidates like Deborah, okay? But that means that's also going to impact on our numbers this year. So we're behind and we have to run a lot faster to catch up, is the message, okay? So the good news is we can do it. We've done it in the past. You can see we did it, okay? Got to do it again, okay? Any questions? Okay. Okay, so we're going to have committee report. You sure? No questions? Yes. No, no, I said profit, okay? The difference between what it cost you and what you made, okay? That's, well, okay, okay. Well, we can go back and Ken and I can, and you can look at the spreadsheet. Okay, okay. It's not just exceeding it, it's exceeding it by how much. Because just exceeding your expenses doesn't really put money, if you hold a fundraising event and all you do is you bring in as much as you spent to put it on, it doesn't add. I know, I know. Okay, okay, I'm happy. Yeah, offline. Yeah, offline, we'll go over it again. Yes.
Is the issue that you want a higher percentage in the reserve than you normally want?
No, we don't ever have reserves. Our goal, no. Profit means that we have money coming in that we can spend on candidates. Okay, we don't keep, well, our carry forward was $7,000. We spend down at the end of every election cycle as close to zero as we can. We can't spend down to zero, otherwise our bank fees would go up. So we always keep some money in reserve. Okay, anything else?
Actually,
Yeah.
you did get extra money after the election, so we stopped actually giving money before the election. So the carry forward is actually money that was actually attributed to December.
Right.
So that's why we have it carried
Right.
forward. But
Right.
Louise is correct. We wanted to make sure that we did not go down below our
Right.
reserves.
Right.
That we need
And there's
for the bank.
there's only 3 ways for us to get money. Okay, that's it. We have memberships, we have sustaining donations, and we have fundraising. Okay, and memberships have the problem too, which we're going to talk about. Okay, so beside the fact that we collected money last year's, this year's money to spend last year. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, my job is to say, this is what we need to do. If we're gonna really give candidates money, is we've gotta really bear down and make it happen. Okay? Okay, yes,
I was just gonna ask, this year is not,
right,
obviously, we've got candidates starting.
March, next March.
Yeah. So what's our target date? Start.
It depends on who files and how fast they file. You realize that we are 1 year away from a primary election. We have 12 months before you're going to be voting in a primary election. Okay, so I'm like, hello, we got to pull it together. Okay, yes, Deb.
We have two political conventions, Democratic conventions this year, one in May and one in November, which is the endorsing convention. So for people that are running for assembly, for state senate and Congress, they are already campaigning now because they want to get endorsed by the convention in November.
Okay.
So it's rapidly approaching.
It's rapidly approaching, that's right. Okay, so, is Andrea here? Alexander? No. Okay, so I'm doing her thing here. So one of the things Andy, who works on political action and the focus groups, asked me to talk about was a follow-up on a speaker we had a month ago, I think it was a month or 2 months, about the importance of local elections, okay? So we need to be informed about elections, we need to speak up about important issues, and we need to know what these councils and boards are doing. So we have these community focus groups, and Cindy is in here, I know. Zach Skidmore, where are you there? Raise your hand from Laguna Hills. Kathy Palmer from Mission Viejo. Andrea is at City Council, and Gary Gephardt is not here. So, but you can get in touch with any of those people. They have meetings separate from these meetings, and they follow up on what's going on in these local areas. You may not realize it, but we have a lot of local elections in our area. We have 4 city councils, 2 of which have 5 voting districts. So that's 12 city council voting districts that we can support candidates in. We have 4 South Orange County Community College districts that we have in our geographic area that we're assigned. We have 3 school districts. Saddleback Valley, which has 5 districts. Capistrano Unified has, I think, 7, but we only have 2 in our area. And we have some areas in Orange Unified, so that's 8. And then there are 7 water districts in our area. That's 31 local races that we could be asked by candidates to support them. That's why we need the money, okay? And then on top of that, we have 10 additional districts, 2 congressional, 2 state senate, 2 assembly, 2 board of supervisors, and 2 county school boards, okay? Okay, that's a lot of ground we have to cover. And we can't do it without your help volunteering on those community focus groups, volunteering for the field team and the fundraising team, and becoming active. Okay, Anne, where are you? You get to give them the bad news about membership.
Well, this isn't really, for this time of year, it's actually not too bad. We always get off to a slow start. I'm just going to recognize we always get off to a slow start. But we have 243 members that have paid. Just this week, we went over the halfway mark. But it took us 2 months to do that. Now, we have 242 people who belonged last year who still have not renewed after getting several personal emails and texts. So my goal is to, I'm going to do one more text because I think you get the biggest bang for your buck in a text. And then we're going to start doing phone banking. So over on this side wall under membership, there's a place for people to sign up if they want to do some phone banking. And what I do is I just send you 10 people's names or 15 with a phone number, and you call them and say, hello, this is Ann from Canyon Dems, and we loved having you as a member last year, and we know you've just, in the rush, you've just forgotten it, and we would love you to, have you back, and make it a real positive call. And they usually say, oh yeah, I forgot. It's also a really good way for us to clean up our roster, because people unfortunately pass away, people move, and so it's a way to get our roster also kind of cleaned up too. And we actually ask if they don't, we can email, you can then text them, you can call, you keep harassing them until they answer you and so forth. So that is, that's the plan that we've got going on. While I'm up here, I've been putting up every month these sign-up sheets for different committees. So, I can't even read them for here because the light's out. I do have, I think, 2 for canvassing on there. And what's the other one, Eileen, that's up there? Communications. Field team. Okay, so go over and take a look if you are presently volunteering for a committee. We have enough people that belong that we don't have to have the same people on 3 different committees. I think, that's just overworking our membership. So I would love to see, all the committees filled with different folks. So we really are putting our membership to use. So please go over and look if there's some way that you can help. And phone calling is something you can just kind of do at your own leisure when you've got the time, so you don't have to worry about that. I did want to say we also have a new welcoming committee we formed, and so here's tonight. Chris Rottenberg is here, and Toshia Surik is here, and Tommy Kozlov is here, and they're basically greeting our guests tonight and new members, and taking information and doing follow-up on them as a way to try to encourage people to come back. And we're going to be putting a sticker next month that everybody who's a guest, we're going to put a sticker on there for a new member on their thing. So if you see somebody with a name tag with a sticker on it, be super friendly with them, so they'll want to come back to our next meeting. I don't know if somebody told me, I'm going to say this is probably your job. I just wanted to remind you that if you missed last month's meeting, it is on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, that you can go and watch it there. So I watched it to see that I talked too fast, which I'm sure I'm doing now because I want to get a lot in a little time. I want to see what I sounded like. But you can go and watch our meeting if you missed it there. Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you. Oh, and we have,
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. Fire away.
I also have Judith Berman. Where's Judith? Thank you, and her husband, helping me now with doing the community outreach for us. So she's going to be sitting out in front and doing the collections every month and taking them to whatever our, charity of the month is. And in March, it's going to be Laura's house, and they need gently used clothing, shampoo and conditioner, and lotions are the things that they're their top needs right now. So that will be what we have for March. And thank you for being so generous in your contributions.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you turn over your agenda, there's information about the community focus group and the district. So you can take that home with you, put it on the refrigerator or whatever, and then you'll be able to get in touch with the folks in your area. Yes. Aren't you sweet? Okay. Let's figure that out for next month, okay? Yeah, okay. Next up is Judy Fike to talk about the field team. So you want the umbrella one up? First. Okay. Tell me when and I'll change. Okay. Glad to see some new faces here. It's wonderful. One of the things that came up at the November table talk meeting is a couple of people said they weren't sure what the field team does. So I'm going to go over that with you. My name is Judy Fike, And I will also be introducing the awesome members of the field team because we work our butts off, but a lot of it is behind the scenes. We are right now working on 2024. So I'll keep you posted when I need more people to help out with the various tasks that we have. Our main function as in the field team is to contact voters. There's several ways that we do that. But more important, we want to engage those voters. So, hi, please vote. And then we contact them several times to make sure that they do get out to the vote. One of the very sad things about this last election in the Mission Viejo City Council races is that had more Democrats shown up, we could have flipped 2 more city council seats. But now we're stuck with those people for another 4 years. So, and it's super important that we get involvement from all of you. So these are the tasks we do. Okay, so in terms of contacting voters, one way is to text them. Another way is to write postcards, and I think a lot of you guys are familiar with the postcard campaign. We have members, we're writing 7,000, 10,000 postcards to folks. I am going to resurrect phone banking, and I'm going back and forth, but I think it's an inexpensive way to reach out to people and remind them about the elections that are coming up. Voter registration, a couple of people mentioned, what about voter registration? We are going to be aligning with Field Team 6 and helping them out when they have voter registration events that are close by. All right, so those are the, oh, I'm sorry, Field Team 6 is an amazing group, mainly young people, not all young people, but they go out and mobilize and they walk with, oh my God, they walk with registration sheets and they go to college campuses and places like that. And they register people. Some of them are young, many of them are young voters, but some are people who've moved into the state and moved into the area, or hopefully want to change their party affiliation to Democrat. And they are a very dynamic group, and they are, I think, a very awesome group for us to align with. All right, now, so those are some of the ways that we contact the voters, but what are we doing with all that information that we're texting and we're phone banking? And this is where analysis of the data is super important. I think one of the goals of the field team is to become very strategic about who we target and how we're spending your money. And the folks who do the data analysis, and oh my God, we've got some awesome people. They will help us, our focus in the areas that are most important. Then we have a lady who is in charge of the databases, and she uses that information so that we know which houses we're going to are Democrats rather than Republicans. And this takes a lot of time and a lot of effort on the part of those folks. We also have candidate liaisons, and this is a new facet of the field team. We realized that the candidates who are running for local office, some of them needed help.
and they didn't know where to go to for the help. And so hopefully we will be able to assign a candidate liaison to each one of the candidates who's running for local office. And one of the things that we are going to produce by the end of the year is a candidate manual, so that if they have questions, they have a resource that they can refer to, and that they can also talk to these candidate liaisons to help them. And then the last thing that we do is the meet and greets. And there are some really neat new programs that tell us exactly who the Democrats are in your neighborhood. It's already done for us, so we hope that the meet and greets will become more effective. So that's basically what we do, and I think you can tell we're super busy. And I would like to spend some time, because I stand up here every week and blah, 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 and usually ask you guys for something. I want you to know who the behind the scenes people are who are doing all the work. So I would like to introduce Eileen Tiger. Is she sitting over at that table? Please stand up. Eileen helped two candidates in their campaigns in Mission Viejo. So she's very experienced working with the databases, and that's what she does. Then the postcards is Sarah Burton, and I think you all know Sarah, and are organized an awesome postcard program. Becky Butler. Becky also worked on several campaigns. She is amazing with numbers, and she's amazing with facts and analyzing what they tell us. In fact, she does everything. She did 90% of this. She said, you need to learn how to do it. I ended up doing 10%, putting the text boxes in, but she's very well-rounded in her talents. Then I'll be doing the phone banking, meet and greets. Lynn. She volunteered to help with the meet and greets, and I'm sure when the time comes around, she's going to be asking for help with that. I did that last year. Then we have our candidate liaisons. So we are very lucky to have Stacy Holmes, who ran for the Marion City Council. His wife, Lynn. Chris Rotenberg is going to be helping us. He loves to write, so that's awesome. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. We've already mentioned the focus group leaders. They're also on the field team, because I want to have an open line of communication with what's going on in the cities, and making sure that we're not duplicating efforts. So that's pretty much the field team. And that's, oh, texting is Amy Stevens. Thank you. Amy Stevens does the texting, and she's amazing. I'm so lucky to have these people. I don't really feel like I'm directing anything. I feel like I'm more just kind of coordinating and being there to help these people. So again, thank you, and give them another round of applause.
Okay, the awesome fundraising committee. You are awesome. Hello, Canyon Democrats. How are you? We're so glad to see a full room, and I love to see all these new faces. This is the best. Okay, so our job is to make the money that Louise then sends everybody else out to spend. So we have a variety of ways that we do that. One is we do opportunity drawings. And so if you haven't had a chance to buy your tickets, this is your last chance. We're going to do that in just a second. Too late. Okay, too late. Okay, so, go ahead, Melora, pick a card, any card. Get somebody to do it. for you.
Okay, so the number is, Barbara, you wanna? Yeah. Judy, check my number.
Okay, the lucky number is, this time we're doing, since we're not gonna be together on St. Patrick's Day, we're just jumping ahead. 713-739. So, yay, Heather, okay. And then the second one is, oh, she's got a whiskey barrel hat. Yeah,
Or a poke hat, whichever you want, I don't know.
with a shamrock on it.
All right, here we go. We'll have our speaker poke one for us, thank you. Okay, thanks.
And this one is, oh, wait, upside down. 713-607. Okay, so that's one way that we make money.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for all your support. Another way that we make money is through our sustaining donor program, and we, Louise alluded to that. This is a program that was the brainchild of our own Walt, and he came up with the idea that, you know, we can all afford our dues, but some of us can afford a little bit more. And so if you're able to add another $5 a month, or $3 a month, or $100 a month, whatever you can manage, you can go on our website and sign up to be a sustaining donor. You can either give a one-time donation and be done with it, or you can have it come out gently every month, just a little bit at a time. But because we have the sustaining donor program, already we're barely a month and a half into the month, and we've already raised $3,755 from our 76 sustaining member donors. So thank you for that. Okay, who likes chili? Raise your hand. There you go. Who likes cornbread? Raise the other hand. All right, this is great. Who has a secret family recipe that you know is the best in the whole wide world? Nobody? Who's willing to give it a shot? Okay, all right. We are planning a chili cook-off. It will take place on April 29th. And we're gonna have a chili cook-off and a cornbread bake-off. So you can either be a chef or a baker, either way, or both, if you want to. We're gonna have prizes awarded for the best chili and the best cornbread. If you're not a cook or a baker, you can come and be a participant. If you're a participant, you're gonna wind up being a judge. So you're gonna get to sample all the chili and all the cornbread, and then you'll be able to vote for the one you think is best, and then we'll decide who has the best chili in Canyon Democrats Club. I think that's terrific. So we'll find our best cookers and our best bakers, and we're gonna have a wonderful time. There will also be spirits available. So watch the website, because that's gonna be going up very, very soon. What's next?
I think you're done.
Oh, I think I'm done. Okay, we have other stuff planned. Just so you know, we've got a whole lot of opportunities for you to help us raise money. So watch the space. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. Thank you, Melora. She's my co-chair. She helps me stay on track. You saw that we had the cute little baskets with all the stuff. We collect stuff all year long because at our O'Neill brunch in December, we have a wide array of wonderful baskets that we put together. So if you have anything at home that you want to regift, or if you just have somebody gave you a gift card to a restaurant you don't go to, or if you just want to, spend an extra $5 for a gift card at Starbucks or whatever, we are accepting donations of that kind of stuff all year long. So help us out. Also, just keep in the back of your mind, we do a wine wall at the brunch. So if you've got, sometimes people bring wine to your house when you invite them over, and it's really not what you want. Anyway, keep us in mind. Thank you. Okay, so I got a list from her, and they have got our speakers lined up for the next 3 months. And the committee is very busy. I know they have some other dates where they're working with people and some that are lined up. It's very exciting. But if you have ideas for speakers, it's okay to email her and, or see some of the other people on his committee, like Barbara. Okay, I'm very excited to have, Sudi come on April 25th and talk to us about what's happening with Iranian women. So thank you, Herb. Okay, so next we have our speaker, and I have to do a handoff with him. So it'll just take me a minute. Barbara, are you gonna do the introduction while I undo this? Okay, so just.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to address the elephant in the room and thank our speaker tonight for having the courage to come talk to a Democratic club. So let's just give him a hand for that. Promise not to give you up tonight. Well, and our topic is journalism. The mission matters more than ever. And I think we all know how important journalism is to democracy. You see what's going, Russia and China have wiped out their media. And of course, we know that the media, the local media, is really important to our daily lives. And at the same time, we know that the media is facing a lot of challenges: disinformation, competition with digital, and addressing the needs of a very divided community. So how's our local media handling this, and why is it so important? Our speaker tonight, Todd Harmonson, is well qualified to address these questions. As senior editor of the OC Register, he is responsible for the Register's news gathering across all platforms, including mobile, website, apps, and daily and community newspapers. And most importantly, he oversees political coverage. He is also one of the lead editors for the Southern California News Group, which, if you don't know, owns the Orange County Register. He'll probably explain that. And he collaborates with other editors on issues of strategic issues for the region. He's a graduate of Cal State Fullerton in communications, joined the Register in 1998 and became senior editor in 2016. And he's got 30 years of experience and is award-winning with honors from the Associated Press and Orange County Press Club. And his enthusiasm for journalism is reflected in his commitment to mentoring our youth through the longest running high school journalism workshop in the country. It's the all-volunteer California Scholastic Press Association, where he serves as president and chairman of the board, which I think is wonderful. I think journalism is so important for our youth. So please help me welcome Todd Harmonson.
Thank you very much. And I'm really happy to be here. Even the rain didn't faze me a bit. Sure. It fazed everybody else who was on the 405 and on the 5, but that's fine. Before I get started, I just wanted to bring up this man. I've been thinking a lot about him the past few days and found out that President Carter had gone into hospice care. And it occurred to me that my relationship with politics is directly linked to him. I was 7 years old when he ran for president the first time, and sorry, but it kind of hits me. It's like, okay, for the past 47 years, he's either been a presidential candidate, the president, or a former president, and one of the great statesmen that we've ever had. And there's never been anybody quite like him in my life. So, been thinking a lot about that. And it also hit me that My real interest in politics started when, in the '76 election, my grandmother ran her local polling place out of the garage at my grandparents' house. And I hung out for the day, just kind of observing and seeing, my grandma, who had, one of my heroes, just make sure that everybody got their chance to vote. And, that meant, running around doing everything that they needed. And that's been such an important thing, I think, in our society, but to see, she did that. And, he won that time. And then the '80 election was another big one in my life. I had a lot more awareness and was really into politics by then. I was like, okay, he's been a constant in my life. So just wanted to pay tribute to him. And, I think many in the world, probably most in the world who know of him, are hoping that he has peace right now. All right, so this is one of my favorite things in American history. My profession has constitutional guarantee. It's right there in the Bill of Rights. It's the first thing that was in First Amendment to the Constitution, that there's freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, right? So these are things that have been around for, since what, 1789, and it's vital. They get challenged all the time, but it's right there. And whenever I give my staff holiday gifts, I give them something with the First Amendment. It's either an ornament. A couple years ago, it was a flask. Why not, right? And we're journalists. And I enjoy this one from Thomas Jefferson, because I think he's right. That there's a lot of that government does wrong, and government without the press is a scary prospect. So, all right, so a little bit about me. Most of my career was in sports. That's what I came up wanting to do. I couldn't hit a curveball, that's as tall as I ever got. So, my basketball career was cut short. 5'11", 6 foot short. Okay, but I could write about it, and somebody wanted to give me money to write about it. So I got to do some pretty cool things, and got to cover all these different things, including covering this fight that some of you might remember, when Mike Tyson took a chunk out of Evander Holyfield here. I was there. All right, so yeah, I became the Register senior editor in 2016. This was right after we were purchased out of bankruptcy by Media News Group, also known as Digital First Media at the time. At that point, they had the Los Angeles News Group, and it was 9 papers across Southern California, and they bought the Register and the Riverside Press Enterprise at the same time. We had already bought the Press Enterprise. So it was a big time of change for us. And the Register had been this family-owned paper for decades. The Hoyles family made a huge name for itself in Orange County, and then they owned papers across the country, but the Register was the flagship. Then we had financial troubles, like many in the industry did. Always stayed afloat, and always have been here serving Orange County, as we're coming up on 120 years pretty soon of doing so. But we got purchased, and that made things a little bit different for us, in that we were going to be a part of a group of 11 newspapers. And so the Southern California News Group ranges now from the LA Daily News on the northwest end, so that's up in the San Fernando Valley, all the way out to the Redlands Daily Fax on the east side, the Riverside Press Enterprise, and then the Register is the biggest one still by far in that Southern California News Group. We're part of Media News, which also now owns Tribune. So we're part of the second largest newspaper organization in the country at this point, behind only Gannett. So we have papers like the Chicago Tribune, the New York Daily News, Orlando Sentinel, Baltimore Sun, Denver Post. But it's a big organization. But at the heart of it, our mission is still to look after Southern California, and especially when it's the Register, we want to be here to serve Orange County. And that's where my job comes in. So I think I have a lot of responsibilities with SCNG and the register, but my main thing is our Orange County coverage. So yeah, I've been an Orange County guy since I was at Cal State Fullerton. And then yeah, also mention of my work with this nonprofit CSPA workshop. If you know of any high school students who are interested in journalism, tell them to run away, go to a job that will actually make money and have security. If they still want to do it, then send them toward me and we'll see. It's a workshop that changed my life as a student in 1985. And I've been giving back to it as an instructor and now the chairman of the board ever since. All right, so these are some things I like. Just figure it's good to know who you're hearing from. I'm a Springsteen guy. Going this weekend to see him in Portland, then Seattle. Just bought tickets to 2 Wrigley Field shows. Just got put on a wait list for verified fan experience at the Forum. Somehow I'm not verified, even though I've got lyrics tattooed on my arm and I've gone to all these shows. Yeah. Love beer. So when I saw you had a beer tasting, that could be profitable. Travel and then movies. And that's my family. We were in Paris for New Year's. That was probably, well, considering how young they all look, that was probably about 14 years ago. All right, so here's another key one for me. This is my voter registration. And if you look under my party preference, I don't have one. I'm registered no party preference. That was something that Barb asked me about when we were talking. And yeah, I'm a Springsteen guy. It would seem natural, right? But a while back, it occurred to me that it was probably the best thing for me to register no party preference, so that when I meet with a group like you, I can kind of straddle that middle as much as I can. I'm still going to vote however I choose to every year, and I don't care how my people vote, the people who work for me, and I really don't want to know. I love that my politics editor, I have no idea what she thinks politically, other than she wants the best possible coverage for Orange County. And I think that's terrific. I have no idea how she's registered. Well, she's told me that she's registered no party preference like me, but I have no idea how she votes. So I tell you, I went from this was my spring of 2016 to, covering the sports world, Kobe Bryant's final game in April of 2016, big deal for us. And at that point, I'm approached to take on the senior editor role at the Register. And okay, I've never done that side of things. It's always been sports. And I pretty much jumped into this. I got that job on May 6th of 2016. June 7th of 2016 was the California primary. You might remember that there was a bit of political turbulence in 2016, right? And for somebody who had never covered that, it was a huge learning experience right away. I had a lot of engagement in politics, but not that kind of coverage. So I had to rely on our team quite a bit, but also figured, okay, I'm going to learn quickly. This guy made it a little more interesting in learning. The presence of then candidate Donald Trump in the race made it something where people were far more interested in what was going on because they either loved or hated him. People suddenly started embracing this whole notion that what we were doing was fake news. I wonder where they got that idea. Let's see if this video works. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like we're hooked up. So, well, I will send a link to this really fun video of him declaring everybody to be fake news. But he wasn't alone. So first I get this, and here's an email I got one time. And it's addressed to Tom. My name's Todd. But so he goes through all his complaints and then says that what we're doing is fake news. And it became this weapon that was used against us because people felt, okay, I'm hearing somebody else say it. So this is how we're going to challenge you now. It has been kind of nonstop for the past 7 years of that. It hasn't really changed. So yeah, I'll skip that. There's another video. But the interesting thing is the relationship between presidents and the press isn't just a one-sided thing, right? These numbers are intriguing to me. The Bush father and son actually had a lot of press conferences. They did them pretty regularly. Clinton had a lot, and then not so much at the end. His average dropped a little bit when the questions got a little bit tougher and dealt with some things that he didn't want to talk about. President Obama, not anywhere near as much as his previous few predecessors. President Trump, a little bit more. He seemed to like that, he liked the back and forth with the media, even if he was saying it's fake news. President Biden doesn't like to do press conferences. It's quite interesting to see his numbers are really low. And it's concerning that you as the public, we as the media don't get that access to him that we've gotten to most of his predecessors. The numbers, this is, UC Santa Barbara has a study on presidential press conferences, and they found that President Biden's numbers are the lowest since President Reagan. Again, his numbers dropped toward the end, and we know that he was ill toward the end of his presidency. And then President Nixon, who didn't like talking to the media all that much. But, okay, so people like to point to President Trump and say that he's the biggest enemy toward the press, because he was very vocal about it and called us the enemy of the American people. President Obama, he used the Espionage Act like nobody before him. He used it more than, his administration used it more than any or all previous administrations in a big effort to crack down on people who were serving as, they were leaking, serving as whistleblowers, and telling the public or the press some of the things that were going on in the administration. That got scary. Then, in May of 2013, his administration seized the phone records of reporters from the Associated Press. That is not cool. I mean, that to me just really crossed the line. So it's an interesting thing. We kind of need to look at it. The past few presidents haven't exactly been the friendliest toward the media. And then we can see this. This one really was kind of a punch to the gut. It was a fist bump. It was not a handshake. That was very clearly stated by the administration many times, that he would not shake his hand. But, this is the man who is responsible for the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi. And that really hurt people in our business when you see that this is going on. It's tough. And I understand politicians, especially the president, they have to be in a position where diplomacy is going to have to take precedence, but you also have to wonder, okay, where are we in how much they care about the press? I know we're an annoyance, right? But yeah, when an annoyance happens in another country, what happens is what happened to Jamal Khashoggi. All right, so another video. One thing I'll just describe this. This is the one thing that we can all agree about on the internet. Cat videos are fun, right? There's almost nothing else that we can agree about. But, we could be in that business and just put up cat videos and we'd probably make a lot of money. It's not what we do. the intriguing thing I see is that we've all, or many people have decided we're going to curate our experience with the news. And we're going to choose where we get our information, which of course everybody has that right. But many people want that experience to align with their beliefs. They don't want their beliefs to be challenged. And that scares me. Now, this is a media bias chart. It's one of a few that are out that you can find. And I don't rely on them as, this is the arbiter of all that's good or bad, but they're an indicator. And it's worth taking a look once in a while to see, okay, this is where I get my news. Where does that fit? Okay, Associated Press, Reuters, well, it's kind of middle, and then highly accurate. Okay, cool. Well, then you look over and say TMZ, skews a little left and maybe not as accurate, although TMZ is shockingly accurate. We used to knock it as not reliable, and they're first on a lot of things. But then you see some other things that, okay, this is maybe some stuff I enjoy reading, but you got to question it. And it could be on the other side of the spectrum. So it's just one of those things that I always will challenge consumers of news information to question where they're getting their information and what's the agenda behind it. Because if the stuff that you're getting is curated to a certain set of belief, are you getting the whole picture? Are you getting the information that you really need? The interesting thing is this one, the person who put this chart used to always put local news right in the middle and the top, but they've added so many different ones that they took that out, but that's just kind of their given, that local news organizations tend to be accurate and play it pretty straight, because that's what you as local readers need. So the Knight Foundation released a study last week, and I was pleased to see this, that the belief that we have that local news is doing the job it's supposed to be doing is at least reflected in how the readers who were polled found it. So they're taking a look at national news organizations, and it's only, 54% of the people who believe that that they have trust in that. But then it's 75% in the blue and the dark blue or the purple that have moderate to high trust in local news. Okay, that gives me, makes me feel like, all right, we're on the right track, because this is something that we have to know that people who we're trying to serve are at least understanding that we're trying. We might not be first with everything. We're always going to try to be right more than being first. And occasionally we're going to make a mistake, but the mistakes are hopefully very few, and they're never with malice. That's not something that you'll find from most local news organizations. We don't have an agenda other than to serve the readers of Orange County or SCNG's larger role in all of Southern California. So the problem is the jobs. In 2002, there were 116,000 people employed in news organizations across the country, roughly. 2022, we're down 85,000. When it comes to newspapers, the numbers are staggeringly low. So the number up here is, that goes for websites that don't have a printed edition as well. It goes for TV, all that. Newspapers are really low. And part of it comes from, okay, we've faced the competition from many different things. So on the far left, Craigslist took the first bite out of us. Classified advertising was a huge thing in our business. To where you place your job ads, or maybe a house ad, or if you're selling something. you take out an ad in the local paper, right? Then Craigslist did it and it was free. And that was a big revenue blow to our industry. Then you have all this other competition, right, on the national scale. So in the middle, you look at from all these websites, they're covering the angels. We cover the angels. We should be the register should be your go-to source for angel coverage. And for the most part, it is for many people. But ESPN's on them too. MLB.com, they have their own writers working for Major League Baseball, covering what we cover. CBS, Yahoo. So we're now competing with all these other digital news sources that don't have to worry about print deadlines for the most part. And that's something that we're still doing. And then you look, even if you want to go down to the granular, just Orange County issues, and this is from a few years ago, but we're facing that where there's small sites that pop up. People have their blogs that don't cost any money really to operate. Yet our newsroom is very expensive to operate. So these are things that we're facing on a regular basis. This is how people get their news, right? Many of you might still get a print newspaper, I hope. Some. Anybody still get a print newspaper out there? All right, thank you, I love you. You're my favorites. But we know that the transition is happening to where more and more people are getting this online. So desktop is what you're checking out if you're sitting at your desk at work generally and pretending to do something that's not your work. Then mobile is, I am reading news on my phone all the time, right? So I'm getting it here as opposed to necessarily in a print newspaper. Well, okay, so what's the problem with that? Our problem is that we charge people more for a print newspaper because there's a lot of cost that goes into putting it out, right? We have to print it, we have to deliver it. There's all the design work that goes into it. This is a lot less expensive, but people also feel like, okay, I shouldn't have to pay as much for it. And you know whose fault that is? It's ours. We screwed up as an industry a long time ago. And we took away the value of the work that we do by giving this away. Starbucks never once gave away its coffee, right? They charge you for it from the beginning. We, as an industry, didn't understand what was going on with the future of online journalism. And we would just throw everything that we had up there and people would grab it and consume all this stuff that took a lot of work. We have highly trained reporters and editors and photographers who spend a lot of time and effort on this, and we gave it away. And then when we realized, okay, the future is actually going to be online, now we're going to tell all you that you got to pay for it after years of not making you do that. That's a challenge. And I get why people are resistant to it. It is intriguing though. My 85-year-old father-in-law told me to stop his print edition from coming. He's gotten used to reading our digital edition on his Kindle and he loves it that way. But okay. Of course, I'm paying for his subscription, so. But yeah, exactly. It's really good. So, it is pennies versus dollars when it comes to that. And we're strategizing, coming up with new ways to reach a bigger audience. The interesting thing is people say that journalism is dying. Our audience is actually bigger than it's ever been before. It's just the different ways that we reach people. Right? We might get you going on our website regularly, or you might be taking one of our email newsletters. You might find us on social media, like through Twitter or Facebook. I'm sure we're going to be diving into TikTok at some point. It won't be me, but we have actually some really cool stuff that we've been doing on Instagram recently, telling stories there. And we're trying to figure out what are the best ways to reach you where you are. It's no longer a thing of you're going to come to us for the coverage no matter what. People, for the most part, don't go in through the front door of our website. although we actually get more traffic on our homepage than most news organizations do. But you want to, if you're going to search for something, if you're going to search for a story about, oh, let's say Katie Porter might be of interest in a room like this, then our search results better be good, because there's a lot of people who write about Representative Porter. And if they are good, then you're going to read our story first. So there's a lot that goes into that behind the scenes. It's technical stuff on our site, but some of it is also just quality and how fresh our news is. And we need to do a good job of that because we're in a competitive environment. With that in mind, oh, I might have a couple of these in there. I'm doing my job. We might have a deal going on right now. It's $1 for 6 months. $1 for 6 months to subscribe to our digital site. That's it. Just saying, it's a pretty good deal. All right, and this is the kind of stuff that you get. This is 1 week in May last year. Think about the effort that goes into this, and this is all online as well, because with that digital access, you get our e-edition. But so here's our front pages from 3 of, I think it was 6 days. You had the canyon fire in Laguna Beach. Then you had the shooting at Laguna Woods, in Laguna Woods with the church. And then the last day, then we found out that the FBI was investigating the mayor of Orange County's biggest city. And that sent the Angel Stadium sale into a spiral, and actually is on hold, and the mayor stepped down soon after that. Yeah, but this is the kind of stuff that we bring. It's not just under the unusual circumstances like this. We're doing this every day. And so I think there's something there. And when it comes to things like elections, we're there for you to give you that kind of coverage. And so we were on top of it in August 2019 when something pretty big happened in this county. Anybody know what happened on August 6, 2019? Democrats took registration advantage in Orange County. I am talking to the Canyon Dems, right? So, the last time that Democrats had a registration advantage in this county has been 1978, and that was only briefly. But on that day, we were tracking this through the registrar voter site, talking to, then it was Neil Kelly, who was the registrar, and waiting for this to happen. And we knew it was going to happen because the trend was just pretty clear. And on that day, Democrats took a registration advantage of 89. Small advantage, but significant. Anybody want to guess what the advantage is right now? How big?
10,000.
Got a guess of 10,000. Not close.
75.
75 is pretty close. It's about 80,000. So these are the numbers from today on the registrar site. You can get this data any day, so obviously that's very small. But if you go to ocvote.gov at any day, you can find out what the current registration numbers are. So there are 680,528 registered Democrats as of this afternoon in Orange County. 600,120 registered Republicans. How many are registered no party preference? 428,832. That's significant, right? So it's an interesting thing. And even here tonight, I heard there's discussion of Democrats and Republicans. That's the number that is one that I think it's constantly growing. And I think, at some point it could be the number 2 choice in Orange County. We'll see. But I think they've pulled away from both parties a little bit. to get numbers. And it's an intriguing thing to see how that's going to affect what we see here in Orange County. So this is one of the things that I oversee. I oversee a lot at the register. So the sections I have are basically, and this is from Sunday's paper. I do have the news section, local, sports, our entertainment, business, all fall under me, plus our investigation team, our new demographics and equity team that we launched a few weeks ago, and politics coverage. Those are all mine. And then do you like our columnist, Terry Sforza?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, she's mine too. Yeah, I'm her direct editor, and I really enjoy working with her. But she's an interesting voice for Orange County, and I think one that we've needed. We haven't had a local columnist since David Whiting retired a few years ago, and it was a move that I wanted to make. So the one thing I don't oversee, well, here's my contact information, I'm sorry. So anybody who wants to reach out to me, please do. And I'll have this again at the end. And I've got some cards on the table over here, so we'll get back to that. But I don't oversee our opinion page. I'm not commenting on that. I don't oversee it. It's in our old building. We used to be on different floors, which was a good thing. It's kind of what you want in a news organization. There should be a separation. It's a church and state kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it still is. They have no say over what I do, and I have no say over what they do. Well, that could be something that you could write to Sal Rodriguez about. People have strong opinions about our opinion page, and I get it. They try to be provocative with ideas that will get people debating, and I appreciate that. Sal is always looking for good contributors, and that was one thing I know there was some interest in. What can you do to get your voices heard? And something like submitting an op-ed is a good thing. They're always looking for a variety of opinions for those. Believe it or not, they do want to hear from varying viewpoints. So if you want to write an op-ed, especially if you've got a background in something that's intriguing and of local interest, write something up and send it in, both to Sal and then to his assistant. And yes, her name is Minnie Cooper. She is quicker to respond than he is on some things, just because he's overseeing the whole opinion section for all of Southern California News Group. But yeah, about 800 words, and know that they'll work with the editing on it. And then, we always have letters to the editor. Those are good ways to hear from you, or to get your voice heard. Now, when it comes to things like, news events, or something that, is strictly news coverage, contact me, contact our local editors, contact our politics editor, and they'll have their information too.
So like if we have an event where we want to protest or something like that, that's a chance for us to.
That's more news coverage, yeah. Yeah, and we cover protests, we cover, all sorts of events that are newsworthy. We don't have as many people to do it as we once did, so we have to be selective, but it's not a thing where we're trying to play favorites by any means. So this is an area where our kind of combined forces of opinion and the news operation came together, and it was a cool thing, and I'm hoping some of you got a chance to check this out during the election season. We put together an interactive voter guide for Orange County, where we reached out to every candidate from city council level and above with a questionnaire, and asked them to fill it out and get back to us. We put them all online, made it searchable. And then we also linked all of our endorsements from the opinion team. Again, got nothing to do with endorsements. Sal and Minnie can help you out with those. But we had a lot of success with this, and a lot of people really responded well to it, because it was a handy guide for, okay, here's who's running for this district in a council race. what do they have to say about these issues? And we gave you that right there. Some candidates didn't respond, they chose not to. And we marked the ones who chose not to. That's perfectly their choice. And it wasn't just one side of things. We had a handful of Democrats that I fully expected to respond. I thought they would, had no interest. We had some sitting members of Congress who were Republican who did not choose to respond. I wasn't as surprised because their relationship with us has been a little strained. But it's kind of an interesting thing, you know, and I thought we did a nice job with that. Here's our politics team. You know, it's a small but mighty team. We hired Caitlin Schallhorn as our politics editor just before the California primary last year. She's terrific. Used to cover the state house in Missouri, and she's introduced a new feature that hopefully you've seen, our Sacramento snapshot that we run on Mondays in the Register. So she's talking to our members of the Assembly and the State Senate about the things they're working on. And I thought that's been a nice addition because it's something that we really lacked before. It seemed like once they left for Sacramento, we didn't get to cover them that much. And she's doing a better job than we ever had in the past few years. And then our new politics reporter is Hannah Kang. So feel free to reach out to them if you have any ideas. All right, so I like to have a little fun in some of these things, so I'm going to give you my quick rundown of the best journalism movies, and some of them have some politics in them as well. And I love movies, so bear with me. All right, my number 5. If you haven't seen it, watch The Killing Fields. It's a great journalism movie. It is not an easy watch, but it's terrific. And the subjects in this won the Pulitzer Prize for their coverage of what was going on in Cambodia. Number 4, Almost Famous. Has nothing to do with politics, has a lot to do with fun and music, but it's good journalism. I love broadcasting. And the thing about this movie is it was so present. Almost like, you know, it had its finger on the pulse of what was going to happen in broadcast television well before any of us really knew that it was coming. And network did in the 70s, right? They did a good job, but I thought this was a little more grounded, obviously. Spotlight is amazing, right? And what the Boston Globe did with that investigation, it changed lives. And it certainly changed the church in Boston. And the country. Yeah, and the country. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, opened the door for a lot of those investigations. All right, number 1 movie. It's not that. This is the movie that inspired an entire generation to go into journalism. And it's that great combination of journalism and politics. It's the best that you can have, right? You know, it's why Nixon didn't like talking to the media all that much. But yeah, it's just terrific. You can't go wrong with this one. And some people try to tell me that there are better ones. I know it's always going to be there at the top for me. All right, so this one. I don't know if you can read that from there, but I love Calvin Hobbes. And it's an awareness of where we were at this time with the media. Calvin saying, I know more about the private lives of celebrities than I do about my governmental policy that will actually affect me. I'm interested in things that are none of my business, and I'm bored by things that are important to know. Hobbes says, the media aim to please. And Calvin, maybe the economy should be discussed in cheap motel rooms. Yeah, a little too on the nose, but all right. So some of the things that we do at the Register, and I'm hoping that you're aware of. We've had a lot of coverage about the rehab industry in Southern California. and especially South Orange County, anywhere from, especially Costa Mesa used to be the capital of the rehab industry. It was, and now, we're reviving some of our coverage, looking back at it, to see what's actually changed since we started investigating this. Not a lot has. Costa Mesa's had some success in, getting some regulations in place, and, Terry Sforza is writing about it again, where cities like Mission Viejo are trying to join in on, getting some legislation passed to get some stuff done. Basically, they're looking for regulation, and a lot of that's not there right now. So this is some of the stuff that we've been proudest of over the years. Then, we have obviously our coverage of what's local, and I just want to run through some of our photos that I think, I work with some of the great photographers in Southern California. So, this is from the Monterey Park mass shooting very recently. That's just a gorgeous shot of the balloon at the Great Park. Yeah, that one did get shot. All right, this one of our photographers. I just love the way the color pops in an otherwise hazy day out there. Take a look at this one. See where that bat went? Yeah. Yeah, the umpire's okay. He had to go to the hospital, but he didn't lose his eye, fortunately, which is what you would have thought might be the case. So, this is from the Canyon Fire. And then this shot. The gentleman on the left is not having a very good day. I've never seen a face captured quite that way. All right. Oh, and again, a reminder. Hey, I'm trying to do my job here. But again, here's my contact information. All right, and then I'd love to open it up to any of your questions. Yes, sir.
What about local coverage? I'm talking about Mission Viejo. I never see us in the paper unless, guess what, something major has happened. Where is the coverage of City Hall meetings? Well, that's where the action is. And I can tell you, well, I won't go into all the details. But what I'm trying to say is if there was local coverage, people would have picked this up. It didn't, and by the way, the OC Register didn't pick this story up. It was involving the warrant of the city, I think, until the second lawsuit.
It's one of the victims of our cutbacks. I'm point blank. I'm not going to try to.
How can we stimulate local coverage? Where can you get your sources?
Well, it helps to anybody who's got an idea of something that's going on. We need to hear from people, and we tend to shift people around to where the stories are happening. When, obviously when Capo Unified made its moves over the holidays, we shifted and we're on that pretty quickly. When Orange Unified did the same thing recently, politics and school boards are an interesting mix, right? But it's a matter of, there's 34 cities in the county. So we're trying to stay on top of them as much as we can. And we miss things. I'm not gonna lie. So if you know something that we need to know and just want to say, hey, you might want to check this out. Just look at
one weekly feedback in effect.
Yeah, we'll take it. I'm both, I oversee the register, but my local editor, Caitlin, who's our politics one, is one of them, but also Heather McCrae is one of our local editors. And we always are looking for the good stories to pursue. We've got good reporters. They just can't be everywhere. So if we can find the right places to send them, let us know. Yes, sir.
Once upon a time, local newspapers checked out people running for office in local races. And with the cut in manpower, I think that's one of the things that has suffered. The result is that we end up with a New York congressman because nobody in New York was checking his background and what he was stating on what he was running on. And we end up with a circus 3 months after the election. Do you see any plans to be able to get enough staff and organize a methodical, go through people running for office and check up on their backgrounds?
First, actually, when it was made over here, it was a local newspaper who reported it. New York voters didn't pay attention. They didn't care.
But it was after the election.
No. That local newspaper was on Santos before the election. Yeah, but it's not gonna happen with all. And especially when we look at something like where almost every city has gone to district, voting by districts, it became a multiplier effect on how many candidates are out there. Where there might have been 5 candidates for 3 council seats, now maybe you're getting 3 per seat. And okay, that's just a lot more for us to go after. We try to vet the ones that, if anybody raised something, the higher level situations, certainly there are some candidates who run for assembly, state senate, or Congress who will tell you that we have made life uncomfortable for them over the past few years. County supervisor, there's a handful of people who would tell you that we were every bit as annoying as you want us to be. It's just, again, with 34 cities, multiple council races, school boards, we can't get everybody. What we do is we send out these questionnaires and we try to hold them to, okay, here are the questions that we're asking. We are giving you an opportunity to respond, and then voters have some responsibility in this too, right? To check into things. So we're trying, but it's just so many now. Yeah.
I think everybody in this room can understand the impact the internet's had on newspapers and the media in general. But as an editor, how often does financial impact weigh on an editorial decision? In other words, my readership likes these types of stories. This story doesn't play into that. Do I not promote that story? I mean, as
I get what
an
you're saying.
example, the Fox News Minion suit, you're hearing these things that emails from Tucker Carlson saying, we have to do this, whatever.
So that's, that's an interesting case,
Yeah.
and I think it's a fascinating one. That court filing last week by Dominion.
But how does the finances play into the editorial decisions?
They don't really. And sometimes there's a limitation to what we can do. Do I send a reporter to Turkey after the earthquake? No, I didn't. Whereas many years ago, when we spent a little more freely, yeah, we probably would have. We certainly, like after Katrina, we embedded some of our reporters and photographers with some of the rescue crews down in New Orleans. And I had a photographer ask, can I go to Turkey? And I just can't see how we can make that work. But we have people who advertise with us, who get some coverage that they absolutely would not want. It has no impact on anything that we do. And the good thing is I don't hear about it from them. There seems to be an understanding that a sales rep isn't going to come to me and say, how dare you write that story about layoffs at the largest public or private employer in Orange County, if you know what kind of mouse company that might be. Did I say that? They're one of our huge advertisers, and I've never been told once that we need to back off of coverage on them.
That's the news side. What about the editorial side?
That's, again, not my department. They don't let those kinds of decisions play in. I mean, they go after some of our bigger advertisers pretty frequently. They don't pull punches. And the good thing, our publisher and our executive editor will never step in and say, hey, this is somebody who is an advertiser. It's never been a conversation I've heard, and I've been with the company a long time.
Is the editorial side influenced by the number of letters to the editor and op-eds that come in, like?
I would think it probably has to weigh, and have some weight for them. But again, I don't know their decision-making process. They try to keep the finger on the pulse of the county. Some would say they do a great job on that. Some would say, okay, maybe the county's changed a bit. Yeah. Yes. We don't have a reporter based there, but with our new politics editor, she is in constant contact with them. She's actually been up there visiting a few times, and we're sending her pretty frequently now. I've actually got her going back up there next week. She did the nice piece, I don't know if you saw it, taking the walk with Assembly Member Cork Silva.
At 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then Cork Silva went and broke her wrist the next week. Yeah, not on one of those walks. But yeah, so we're part of as part of Media News Group, we have the Bay Area News Group, which is, it's our sister paper up there, and they cover a lot of the Sacramento issues for us. So if if Governor Newsom's having a big news conference, they're over there for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I have to tell you, I am a subscriber, but I get the digital version. I get the paper version of 2 other newspapers. But, sorry about that. Okay, we had several people who wanted to make announcements, so come on up, Deborah, Nancy, and there was somebody else.
Deborah's gone.
Oh, Deborah left, okay. Nancy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Livingston. I'm on the fundraising committee. I'm also on the Mission Viejo focus group, various iterations of that with Walt Wilson and now with Kathy Palmer. But I'm here tonight wearing 2 other hats. The first one, I put out flyers for the Chalk Follies. I've been in this show for the past 22 years. And over those years, Chalk Follies has raised over $12 million for Children's Hospital of Orange County. We have a really fun show this year, The Three Chocolatiers, which is based on the Three Musketeers. We're singing, dancing, also tap dance, through 17 numbers for your enjoyment and to raise money for Children's Hospital this year. Where all the proceeds from the show will go to fund children's inpatient mental services at Children's Hospital. It's one of the few facilities in the country that offer such services. And what else can I tell you about that? We have a featured singer this year, Michael Ketterer, who actually works at Chalk, and he was a quarter finalist on America's Got Talent. You might have seen. You can look him up on YouTube, and I think that's about it. If you're interested in coming to the show, you can just get the information off the flyer. And please do come. It's a fun show for a great cause. So, and the other hat I wear is that I'm the treasurer of the Mission Viejo Friends Group, and you've all seen this flyer at the table for the Purse Palooza. We're collecting purses right now, and we're cleaning them. We'll have over 1,000 purses, evening bags, designer bags, everyday bags, backpacks. So it's a really, really fun event that's going to happen on May 6th. We are collecting.
There's a box out top. You can put your stuff in there.
Yeah, it's very successful. I can tell you as the treasurer for the organization, it's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. It sounds crazy, but it's really fun to see people leave with about 20 bags and then they come back. It's wonderful. So if you have some spare purses, even briefcases, anything like that, come and drop it off, and then come to the event on Saturday, May 6th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And also I want to go back on the follies, I forgot to say,
It runs on March 31st, April 1st at the Orange Coast College Theater in Costa Mesa. So anyway, you got the flyer, both flyers, so please consider coming, and thank you very much. Thank you. Deborah left on the table, there's a fundraiser that is women candidates that Deborah is being put on by the GPOC that includes Cynthia Vasquez. Yes, there it is. So if you're interested in that, have at it. Okay, any other announcements? We are officially done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.